If you ever sat down to finally relax, only to feel a wave of guilt or a sudden urge to just check that one thing, you know that slowing down can feel weirdly unsafe. It's as if your body is hardwired to believe that being on is the only way to be valuable or the only way to feel safe. Most of us don't remember the day we decided to feel responsible for everything. We didn't consciously choose to struggle with relaxation or believe that enough is just always out of reach. We just sort of absorb these expectations and ways of being from the world around us. Today, we're going to talk about the three influences or voices that have been running our lives and how to finally start separating your true self from the roles that you were taught to play. In the last video, we talked about why relaxing can feel weirdly uncomfortable. Not because you don't want to rest, but because your system has learned that slowing down doesn't feel safe. And we started looking into the patterns behind that. The ones that feel automatic, the ones that feel like you. And after I started noticing those patterns in myself, I had this moment that was both helpful and slightly unsettling because I realized a lot of what I thought was just my personality wasn't actually mine to begin with, which is humbling because most of us don't remember consciously deciding, I'm going to feel responsible for everything. I'm going to struggle to relax. I'm going to believe that enough is always out of reach. That's not a choice we made. It's something that we absorbed. The more I paid attention to this, the more I started to notice the same few influences showing up over and over again. Almost like there was these quiet influences or voices in the background shaping how I thought I was supposed to show up. Not actual voices, nothing alarming, just really familiar ways of thinking that shaped my whole outlook on life. These influences defined what felt normal, what was expected, what felt safe. And most of the time, I didn't realize how much they were running things because they felt true. They just felt natural. When I started pulling this apart for myself, I started reading the works of Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. Things got very uncomfortable because up until that point, I thought,
this is just my personality. This is just how I function.
and then I started noticing a lot of what I thought was me was actually something I picked up along the way. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. Suddenly, I had to question everything I did. I had to pause and ask myself, wait, is this something I actually believe? Or is this something I've been carrying for someone else? Something I've been believing for someone else? The first one of these influences or voices is family. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't about blaming your parents or doing a deep emotional excavation. It's about recognizing what was modeled and what was rewarded. Things like being the responsible one, being the one who didn't cause problems, being the one who helped, the one who fixed, the one who handled everything. This was reinforced as what was normal, what was expected. Sometimes it was explicit, but most of the time, it was just something you learned. You learned that this is what keeps things running smoothly. This is what makes me valuable here. And as a kid, that makes sense. You adapt to your environment. No one had to sit you down and tell you, hey, your role is to be the responsible one. You just picked it up because it worked. It made things smoother. It made you feel useful. It made you feel like you were doing something right. If you think back for a second, you can probably see your version of this. the role you slipped into that just quietly became who you are. The second influence is your environment. You took the role and expectations you picked up from your family and tested it out in the world. You took it to school. You took it to work. You took it to your environment. Here's where your beliefs in how you functioned were forged, shaped, and reinforced. Because now you're being rewarded for it. You're the one who gets things done, who follows through, who goes above and beyond. And people notice that. They trust you, they rely on you. And over time, you start internalizing it.
This is what it takes to stay ahead. This is what it takes to be respected.
And if you're good at it, you double down because it works. But what no one really teaches you is how to turn that off. So even when you don't need to be on anymore, you don't really know how not to be, because that's the version of you that works right now. And then there's the third voice, culture, which is basically just this constant background pressure telling you to do more, be more, to don't fall behind and stay productive. And even when you try to opt out, you can't fully escape it because now it's everywhere. Even rest has become something to optimize. Like, if you're not resting efficiently, what are we even doing? And God forbid you're a minority or a woman or both. The cultural pressure for you to keep living this way becomes immense. So when you pull it all together, family, environment, culture, you end up with this very consistent message. Be responsible. Stay on top of things. Don't drop the ball. And over time, it just becomes your internal voice. And this is the part that can feel a little disorienting because once you see it, you start to realize a lot of what feels like you is actually something you learned. And again, this is not about making any of it wrong. This probably helped you build your life, be successful, be someone people trusted, but it's not the only way you're allowed to exist. This is the second step in the align framework. L, look at the three voices. Not to overanalyze everything, not to get stuck analyzing your past, but to start separating what I inherited versus what I'm actually choosing. Because even that small shift in awareness, these patterns start to loosen their grip that they have on your life. So here's something to sit with. The next time you feel that pressure to stay on, to keep going, to not slow down, just pause and ask yourself, where is this coming from? Is this mine? Or is this something I learned to believe? You don't need a perfect answer for this. Just asking the question is enough to start. And I'm curious, as you were listening to this, did one of those voices, family, environment, or culture, influence you more than the others? Or did this video just hit a nerve? Let me know in the comments down below. In the next video, we're going to take this one step further. We're going to look at how to start separating yourself from these roles so you don't feel like you have to keep being this version of yourself. You're not just the way you are. You can change. You've adapted before, and you can adapt again. Anything that was learned can be shifted. and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.